Hello, welcome to RAT News. RAT, of course, stands for Reading All the News. I am Adam. Today we're talking Game of Thrones. Season 6, Episode 9, The Battle of the Bastards. Maybe the best episode of the season so far. Let's find out. Joining us today to talk about it, Joel Cole.
Hey Adam, always fun to be here.
Oh, it's going to be a blast. The Battle of the Bastards. Now, the Bastards, I think that's pretty obvious as who it's going to be. This is going to be Jon Snow versus
Ramsay Bolton. But I mean, he wasn't born a Bolton. He was given the name. He was born a bastard.
Right. Yeah. So both of them, born bastards, but have thirst for the throne? Or do you think Jon Snow wants to be the king?
You know, I think Jon's character seems to be the most noble of them all. Like he's a reluctant leader. It seems like he turned down the Stark name, to go be the head of the Night's Watch, to go to the Wall. So I mean, he's a man of honor. But it seems like all the Starks seem to have a strong streak of nobility that leads to them dying early.
Right.
So, but he's still lasting. I mean, he did die and come back, but he's still hanging around.
Yeah, I think the lesson here is that nobility doesn't get you anywhere except for decapitated, or maybe other ways of dying gruesomely. But I don't know. That's just. I do like him. I do like him as a king. I think he would be a good king, but he's got a long way to go. But anyway, on with the rest of the episode. We open up, well, not open up, but my favorite scene, probably the entire thing. At the very beginning, Daenerys confronts the Masters.
Wow. I mean, from the very beginning of that scene where her and Tyrion are trying to discuss calmly what to do next as they're being bombed from the ships, the room's shaking around them. I mean, it's just incredible. Tyrion's showing himself as a, expert counselor, as a great hand of the king or hand of the queen. Dispensing great advice. But that scene where they go to the Masters and they're discussing terms of surrender, and then to see it turn around. So
good.
Yeah.
It's a perfect switch around because the Masters think they have the upper hand, and they're like, yeah, we're here to get your surrender, give it to us, and we'll see, maybe we'll be nice. Like, oh, I think you misunderstood. This is not our surrender. Like, oh, enter dragons.
Exactly. Yeah, the reveal of the dragons, and she was like, no, you're mistaken. I mean, not only was that a great reveal with Daenerys saying, this is the beginning of my reign, but we finally see all three dragons together again. As Daenerys climbs on the back of Drogon and they take off, you see all three dragons together, battle formation. It was amazing. And then they just tear into those ships. I mean, it was like flamethrower to exponential infinity time. I mean, the force of those flames were like destroying the ships, burning the people alive. It was really awesome to see.
It was so amazing. I feel like I've been waiting the entire show to see a scene like this with the damn dragons. Because I was promised dragons when I first started watching, and I was like, here's a little taste, here's a little teaser. Oh, they can eat little pieces of charred meat. Great. Oh, now they're chained up underneath. Why are you chained up underneath? And now they're released with all the awesomeness.
I think the real reason why we haven't seen the dragons as much as we wanted to is because CGI is expensive.
Right, budget.
Right. So they can only have a couple of scenes like that a season, I think.
Right. I get that, but still very, very very good to see, and I'm very excited about it. So moving on to the rest of the episode, now we get to Ramsay, and there's a meeting before the battle.
The little subtleties in that scene that I really liked was Sansa's disgust at seeing Ramsay again. You could tell she was just like reviled by even seeing him.
Yeah.
And then to have them ride together, and Jon even suggesting one-on-one combat. And then he said, he's like, I have the army to beat you, I have the men. And Jon goes, but will your men fight for you when they find out that you wouldn't fight for them?
Boom, mic drop.
Right?
Absolutely. This is again proving that Jon is the better man, and Ramsay's just a little kid, a little piece of shit.
Right? Well, I mean, yeah, Ramsay is easily the guy that's easiest to hate. I mean, after he killed his little brother and fed him to the hounds, killed his own dad. I mean, the last few seasons, I mean, especially what he did to Reek, what he did to Sansa. This is a guy that has a comeuppance coming to him.
Absolutely. And so now we're going to get ready for that, where the battle is about to begin. But before we do that, we got to check in with Maestro out on the battlefield. He's going to have some insight into the people out there.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, now what's the morale like? What's the feel down there? Right before the battle, there's a lot possibly happening.
Are you talking about Jon Snow's bit?
What's that?
You talking about Jon Snow's?
Yeah, Jon Snow's army. How's it going?
Yeah. Right now they're really feeling, how do you say, sad? Well, basically, Jon Snow, he lost a really close friend, close person to him, right at that beginning before the fight. Basically, they are really, really like tense right now.
I see. So are they looking forward to possibly getting into battle? Or are they scared? Are people leaving? Is everyone hanging
Honestly,
out?
to tell you the truth, where they're putting themselves in, I would not have done that. I mean, they're literally just facing off like they do from like your typical like Minutemen and stuff like that, straight from each other, just going straight at each other.
Oh.
Doesn't seem like a good idea. I mean, like, especially with the very little amount of troops he has, it would be better to do it like some sort of guerrilla tactics. That way, they could actually make the foliage around them work in their advantage.
Okay, so that's what you would do, something a little bit more guerrilla style.
Yeah, that way they couldn't surround you.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, thanks for that report, Maestro. Very enlightening as usual. So now we move on to the actual war, or before the war, I guess a strategy. Inside the war tent, Jon is being warned about everything, about being flanked, and they get all the people coming in that are giving all the different types of opinions. What do you think about this?
Well, you know, this scene was really telling because it seems like Jon's a good leader at this point. He's speaking with Sir Davos about not getting flanked by the superior numbers of Ramsay's army, and he even explains it to the leader of the wildlings. Can't remember his name right now; it always escapes me. But you know, he didn't understand not being outflanked or a pincher move. He even says we don't go into the middle of the field, so we're not surrounded by both sides. So. You know, Jon lays that down very clearly. Everyone's on a clear understanding of that. And then you have Sansa warning him that he knows how to manipulate people. You can't do what he wants to do. And it's amazing foreshadowing for what's going to happen to kick off the battle.
Right, now for you see Sansa, your sister comes in and be like, hey, this guy's kind of a dick. Maybe you shouldn't underestimate him kind of thing. How much credence would you give her for this, just based on her experience living with him for a little while? Is that enough to curb your entire war strategy about?
Well, you know what it was is that, Jon didn't really know him as a man and the depths of his evilness and depravity. So Sansa knew, like, it was very telling in how she said that Bran was already dead, you know, or
right.
Rickon, or one of the brothers.
Yeah.
He's like, he's already dead. Like, she knew that there was no way Ramsay was going to release him. He was going to use him as an emotional token to try to trigger Jon, which is exactly what ended up happening. But Sansa seemed definitely wiser to his, Ramsay's character in that respect.
Absolutely. Well, she does have more experience than anybody else has, and all we have is her words. She did try to describe at some point what she went through and all the horrors and what an a-hole this guy actually is, but you can't really put words to exactly what she went through. So she's got a whole different side that nobody else can really appreciate. So maybe they don't take her seriously because of that. And then the battle comes, and exactly what Sansa said was going to happen. Here comes the brother, get released, and there's just like a sick game of hunting, cat and mouse type of thing.
Well, you know what? I don't know about you, but when I was watching that scene, I was yelling at the TV screen, "Zigzag!
Yes!
Stop running in a straight line!
Serpentine!"
Dude, like, seriously, you see the first arrow coming down, do a duck and roll or something. Do some evasive maneuver.
Yes. It's the Indiana Jones argument. Run this way, you avoid the entire boulder.
Yeah.
The boulder's rolling after you. Run away? No, just whoop, sidestep. It's over.
But you could see that that's exactly what Ramsay wanted to do. Like, he was watching to see Jon's reaction. And so he rushed out to the middle of the field against his own better judgment to save his brother, made an emotional choice. And then when his brother was killed right in front of him, he kept charging right out there, forgetting all the tactical battle plans that they made in the war tent. And it was pretty much almost a suicide run. It was an emotional response that was completely went in the face of their plans.
Yeah, but it was quite a response. I mean, I'd imagine I had the same response. I mean, what else can you do? You see your brother running towards you, like he's gonna die unless I get out there. You almost have to. And then just as you get there, just at that moment, did you see, there's this movie called In Time. Never mind, tangent. But the point is, as they got almost to the point where they were about to be reunited, wham, there's that arrow. Ramsay gets his reaction out of Jon and goes, and now the war starts. Now the actual battle begins.
Yeah, and then Jon doubles down on the stupid move by continuing to rush forward instead of getting back with his army. So he's doing a suicide run on the cavalry with his horse. His horse gets taken out, and then he's just there in the middle of the field all by himself, drawing a sword. I mean, he pretty much feels like it's over. And then Sir Davos knows that it's time to go all in. And he's like, follow your commander. He knows it's the wrong move, but he's not going to let Jon Snow die.
Right. And now here's another scene. This is another thing that I always have with movies like this in this time period. I've always been a huge fan of archers. That if you can have an army full of like a bazillion archers, you don't even need cavalry. Because you just fucking hail and hail of arrows coming in and just taking people out. Eventually, they're going to get a little bit close, but then, I don't know, I feel like you can do enough damage with arrows. And that's what's happening here. They're just volley after volley of arrows coming right at Jon and coming at the rest of the people. So now that everyone's coming in, and this is the problem that they had in the back of the field on Jon's side. They're like, we can't shoot our arrows now, we're going to hit our own men. But Ramsay's such a dick, he doesn't care. He's like, yeah,
Exactly.
hey, kill him. As long as we get corpses out there, who cares if they're ours?
Loose! Like, no, we'll just hit our own men, you know? They're trying to preserve. And Ramsay just does not care.
Yeah.
Loose! Another volley.
It is quite an epic battle scene, and it was amazing. And this had tinges to me like Jon Snow on the third day, look over to the sun, and then here comes... It's the Lord of the Rings. Shit, sorry.
Well, I mean, you know, it was pretty brutal was the like Centurion shield wall that they forced around them.
Yes.
I mean, I would put that battle scene up against like any major motion picture battle scene. You know, Braveheart, Saving Private Ryan. I mean, the chaos and the tracking shots that they did were really impressive for something that wasn't a major motion picture.
Yes, very good. And that's what I was going to say. This was movie quality. This entire episode was movie quality. From the three dragons coming in going crazy to this epic battle scene where like everybody's putting it all out there, and it was just amazing. This is a great, and this could have been the finale. Just this battle right here, because of just how epic everything was, and then the rest they could have drawn out later, but we'll get to that. But just as epic as this was, this could have easily been an amazing cliffhanger. Because as the battle's progressing, it's like coming up, coming down. You don't know if they're going to win or not, but then.
Well, before that, what I thought was actually kind of cool was the Jon being almost smothered part.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he even said to the woman in red, don't bring me back if I die. You know, he just had a rebirth. And then he's almost dying. And that was one of the few, like, smothering, suffocating scenes I've ever seen that made me feel like I was getting short of breath.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it really conveyed a claustrophobic and crushing feeling. And you can see, like, as darkness is enveloping Jon, is he going to die again? And it's almost like a second rebirth as he climbs out of that pile of dead bodies and gets that breath of air, like breathes it in. It's, you know, I thought it was a very cool second sort of rebirth on the field of battle.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you see the panic on his face. It's like it's like he believes he's going to die, and I believe he believes he's going to die. As he's like, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. And then eventually he does, and it's like, oh, thank God. Oh, by the way, it seems we have some footage of this epic battle scene. Let's cut to that. All right, amazingly accurate footage, I'm sure.
Wow.
Looks pretty good. Yeah. It's very intense. I felt like I was going to die. But, all right, so the way the battle concludes, you want to talk about this, Joel?
I mean, wow, it seems like all is lost for Jon's army. I mean, they have him in that Centurion death pinch where they're just marching forward with the shields and just killing them with spikes.
By the way, are those spikes like 20 feet long?
I don't know. I mean, they were even getting the giant with them, you know? Even 1-1 wasn't doing too well. But yeah, all looks lost. And then Ramsay sends his other lieutenant over to go around the backside and cut down anyone from Jon's army that is trying to retreat from this impending death wall. So they're surrounded from all sides. All seems lost. And then in comes the Knights of the Vale.
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom. And this is the scene I was trying to get to before I cracked myself up, where you look on the third day to the light, and here comes Gandalf with the reinforcements. And that was the kind of vibe that I got from this scene.
You know, it was hinted at before. You know, Littlefinger offered his knights to Sansa. She didn't want to take it, but you could tell she was kind of planning something. You know, she had some sort of backup plan. What I don't get is why she didn't tell Jon about it. Like, hey, I have a few reserved 1,000 knights that could come to our rescue. mention something about it, or you're kind of complicit in all those people dying before you magically ride into the rescue, which is also coincidentally works in Littlefinger's favor, because now he probably has the biggest army in the north. I mean, since everyone else was just whittled down by the Bolton army.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the whole Sansa keeping a secret a little bit, because if she got turned down in that tent, so like, all right, they're not gonna take me seriously, then I'll do it my own self. So she goes and does what she has to do. And this was kind of alluded to earlier in the season, where they had to talk with her, Sansa and Littlefinger, about like, hey, if you need anything, kind of thing, you need any favors, type of thing. But yeah, so then this whole thing happens, and I get it's kind of a dick move to leave the brother in the dark, but I did feel like she kind of had to, based on the way things went in that tent.
Yeah, you know, I can see that. But also, you know, the first thing I wondered was, what did she have to give up to make that deal? You know, is she agreeing to marry him? I can't believe that she would actually forgive Littlefinger when she pretty much spared him a few episodes ago for selling her to Ramsay.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous that she would trust him in any aspect or respect at all. But yeah, I'm curious to see how that's going to play out, because he has this smug little smile on his face like he usually does. And you know that he wouldn't do that out of the kindness of his heart.
No, absolutely. He's got his own motives, and those will become apparent later on, I'm sure. But as the battle now starts dwindling down, the forces start getting away. Ramsay retreats back to the castle and closes the gates like, all right, so we're safe in here, right, guys? As long as we're inside here, they can't do anything to us. Enter the giant.
Yeah, you know, standard castle siege protocol, you know, we'll wait him out. Doesn't work when you have a huge, not human, I guess, giant battering ram.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and he took out that wall, and you know what? The way that he took those arrows and it was looking like a pincushion, I still hope that he wouldn't be taken out. And that fatal arrow to the eye.
Yep, that'll do.
And you just knew that it was Ramsay, and it's one more reason to hate him and want to see him die.
It's just building towards eventually we all just like want him to die in some way. We're like, he's gonna die now, right? Now? No, okay, how about now? Oh, damn it. Oh, not the giant, why the giant? Why the giant? And I'm still believing, this, as you were, that he's gonna be alive still. I mean, I've played Skyrim plenty, and it takes a lot of arrows to take down a giant. Like a lot of arrows. Unless you got like the ivory tips and then you put poison on them, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
so the giant goes down. And now Ramsay just goes back on his earlier thing, like, oh no, maybe one-on-one, sure.
Yeah, exactly. Now, when all is lost and he's just about defeated, he says, you know what? I'll take you up on that one-on-one battle. Like, seriously, really? And then he proceeds to just launch arrows at Jon's head, which I thought was a cool little Easter egg. The shield that Jon picks up to defend himself with the cat-like reflexes is a House of Mormont shield.
Ooh.
Little Lady Mormont, one of the awesomest badasses introduced.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's pretty amazing. So I didn't catch that though. That's pretty cool. So yeah, by the way, let's do one-on-one with the arrows.
Right.
Nah, that's not how one-on-one works, my brother. That's not how it's supposed to go.
Yeah, and then Jon gets close enough to start nailing him. You know, first he blocks like 3 arrows, like split seconds away.
Yeah.
Like cat-like reflex, like I was saying, it was pretty supernatural. But then he gets close enough to hit him with the shield, starts wailing on him, and you think he might even just beat him to death right there.
Yeah, and this was a Fight Club moment for me, where he's like, I want to destroy something beautiful. I want to put a bullet in every eye of a panda that wouldn't shoot to save its species. This is where he's like just going off of, oh, by the way, the Joker. He's beating him up. In that Fight Club scene where Ed Norton is just beating up on that guy, that is the Joker coming up in Suicide Squad. I forget his name now.
Jared Leto.
Yes, Jared Leto. There it is. But anyway, it was that kind of thing. I was like, yeah, beat him, but let him live. Because I kind of wanted, that death wasn't respectable enough for me. So I wanted something more than just a beating like that. So,
well, yeah. I mean, I think what a lot of viewers felt was that it's hard to decide who you wanted to end Ramsay the most. And I think a lot of people felt that Sansa should have it, either Sansa or Reek, because he wronged them the most. So when you see Jon realize that his sister's right there, he pretty much saves Ramsay just so Sansa can have the satisfaction of ending him, which that's a brotherly thing to do.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I'd do the same thing. If something like that happened to my sister, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll set it up for you. I'll pull back and then like, all right. And I expected Sansa to just walk up and be like, hey, remember that thing? Yeah! Or like just kind of redo to him what she did to him. all these like, oh, how's she gonna do it? How's she gonna do it? How's she gonna do it? Because there's so many ways that she could have done it, and it would have been satisfying. But they chose an interesting one.
You know what? I thought it was very fitting, with as cruel as Ramsay has been, and even to his own hounds, saying that he starved them for like 7 days, so they were ravenous. But to have him wake up just bleeding and chained to a chair, you know what? There was something he said before his inevitable end where he says, he tells Sansa that she won't ever be able to forget him, that he's a part of her now. I wonder if that's a tease that maybe she's pregnant.
Ooh.
Which would really twist things up if she's carrying a Bolton baby.
Oh, I just got the chills all over the body. Oh. I just took that as like scar tissue type of thing. Like, I've screwed up your psyche so much. In the same way that Reek is Reek now. I felt that's what he meant, but that's, ooh. Just
thought it could be, I think, other interpretation of it is, the psychological trauma that he inflicted on her will now be a part of her personality forever. She won't ever be the same. So it could also be taken that way. Just, thinking maybe if she was pregnant, it could make it interesting.
Yeah, so there was talk about the hounds, and this was earlier in the episode they talked about this. While they were on the battlefield, he was kind of like mocking Jon, like, hey, first of all, I'm going to beat you in battle. Then I got my hounds waiting for you. 7 days I haven't fed them. So that's on you. It's waiting for you. Now, to talk about dogs a little bit, seems like a weird transition, but we have Jen here talking about dog care, how you're supposed to care for dogs exactly, and how do you prevent them from eating you, I guess? Jen? What's the proper way to take care of an animal?
Well, first of all, you feed your animal. You want to feed your dog so that way he doesn't crave human flesh or want to eat your face at some point because he's so damn hungry. And you want to teach your dog to eat other people's faces. So you want to treat your dog really nice. That way he doesn't feel the need to kill you.
So let's say you have a history of beating your dogs and starving them for long periods of time. What kind of behavior could you expect from an animal like this?
You could probably expect him to go for your jugular. You probably expect him to eat your face off. And you don't want that to happen. Maybe, put different things on your face that your dog doesn't like. What don't dogs like? You know what? My dog eats staples, so I have no idea what dogs don't like. Oh. Dogs like everything, so good luck with that.
All right.
Gotta find it for your own specific breed.
Okay.
My dog's a Shih Tzu. My dog can't even eat a tennis ball if he wants to. He has to have little tiny toys. So I like to think like, okay, my face is too big for my dog to eat. Perfect. So even if I torture my dog, his little mouth can't get around my face.
Oh. All right, very enlightening about dog care. Now, should you not take care of dogs in the way that Jen was describing, they may turn on you, which they definitely did here in this case.
The hounds come out of the cage, and they start smelling the blood dripping off of Ramsay's face. And Ramsay is still confident to the point where, my hounds won't hurt me. Sansa just coolly says, you've starved them for a week.
Yeah.
And they start sniffing around him, and that last scene where that huge, pit bull head was right in front of him. It's like sniffing him.
Yes.
And that dramatic tension of this holding there, and then he just takes a huge old bite out of his face.
Wow.
And then they start tearing into him. The other dogs go in. What I loved about that scene, perfect capping of it, was Sansa walking away and the smirk she had.
Absolutely.
Right?
Now, see, personally, I would have liked, again, something a lot more personal, based on all the trauma that's been given to her. I would have liked to, just, without getting too graphic so people don't call the cops on me, something a lot more personal to get more satisfaction out of it. Because the whole, walking away from the explosion, that's pretty much what happened here. The explosion was his face all over the place by dogs. And she just walking away slowly, yeah. But I would have done so much more with that, so much more.
Yeah, I mean...
I've said too much.
No, I thought that too, that I could have definitely understood them wanting to keep him alive as a prisoner just to keep torturing him. It almost seemed like one death was too few deaths for Ramsay.
Exactly. Final thoughts on the entire episode? I mean, this was a great episode. I think one of my favorites of the entire series up to this point. Because you start with the dragons, you get that big battle, and then we get the payoff of finally seeing this freaking Ramsay scoundrel in the other... Okay, question for you. More or less satisfying than Joffrey?
I think more satisfying. I think that Joffrey was evil, and you wanted him to get it, but it almost felt like he was taken out before he could be as evil as he could have gotten. A little.
Okay.
Whereas Ramsay got a chance to hurt a lot more people. I mean, Joffrey wasn't a prince, of a character at all. The way that he would just abuse the prostitutes, cut off Ned Stark's head. I mean, just all the way that he abused everybody. But yeah, that was kind of a quick, the poison kind of came out of nowhere. And I think the Ramsay death to me was more satisfying. It really was.
Okay, I think I agree with that, just mostly because of the way that happened. I mean, just choking, passing out, dead, all right. Dog dripping your face off, all right. So much better. So, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
I agree with you. This, I believe, is my favorite episode of not just the season, but the series. Amazing with the war scene, the dragons, and I'm super excited for the finale. It's the penultimate episode of the season. We're getting to the last 2 seasons that are going to be made of it. So all the major pieces are moving on the chessboard for the end game. It's really exciting.
All right. Thanks for watching RAT News. Make sure you go to our YouTube channel to subscribe, Rat Pack Productions. Go to our Facebook page, Rat Pack Productions also. Like, thumbs up, all the things you got to do for the social media. Appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.